Okay, so we should be live now. So we're gonna be talking today bodies, bodies, bodies. I'm just gonna give people a little bit of chance to get in here, right? So hopefully the stream and everything should be going good. It looks like it is going good. So we're gonna wait and see a little bit longer, and let's make sure we're sending this out. We're sharing it. So we're just gonna say we're live. And yeah, we're gonna talk bodies, 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 and any other horror movie I want to talk about as well. We can definitely do that. This is gonna be the first podcast episode. Let's just do that, right? Let's just do it this way. I was trying to record one earlier today, and it just did not go as planned. So we'll just do this one. So we'll talk a little bit bodies, 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 but we'll talk about some other horror movies as well that have come out and that are coming out. So yeah, come join and ask about horror. So yeah, let's just make sure we're sending. Just got the chance to see this again as well, so very fresh in my mind again. So let's just make sure it's all good. We're gonna share this on Twitter as well. Follow us over there if you haven't already. Okay, so let's share this out. This link. Oops. Okay, so make sure we got that going. So we're talking bodies, 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 but we can talk about any other horror movie as well. I'll just give a quick little talk about bodies, bodies, since this is going to be the first podcast episode, so we're definitely going to make sure we get that in there as well. So we're sharing this out. So pretty much after seeing this movie again, I really want to say this is definitely one of my favorite movies of the year, of the summer, whatever you want to call it. I think that this is definitely one that was more alongside the slasher comedy for sure. Now, I hear a lot of people doing the comparison to Scream. I don't feel that one with this one because there really wasn't much of a killer like that, right? Like when you watch it and all of that, there really wasn't much that feel like there was like this mass kill or anything like that. Of course, we'll definitely lay off the spoilers and everything for sure because I don't want to give away the twist and the kills and all of that. But definitely, I think that this is definitely one that I enjoyed a lot watching. We had a very good weekend for horror as well with Prey. We had also some new movies that are coming out in the horror genre this week with Orphan Kills, Orphan First Kill, which is coming out on Paramount as well. And like I said, this is the first podcast episode, so we're just giving our thoughts and all of that. So we'll talk horror and all of that, whatever y'all want to talk about if y'all want to, for sure. We can talk bodies, bodies, bodies. We'll definitely lay it on the chat that there might be spoilers for sure. So if you're listening to this later on Spotify or on YouTube, we do like podcast episodes and stuff, but we also do them live. What's something we're gonna start doing. So you might hear me talking to the chat on the screen, and if you're just listening, there is no chat, but you can always watch it back on YouTube. I'll leave a link for that as well, so you can always check it out for sure. But we're talking spoilers. Bodies, bodies, bodies might be coming out. So we're just gonna write down the chat, and we'll be live till 11:30 p.m. CST. So we can talk other stuff horror as well if y'all want. That's definitely something I want to do. We were doing it with Nope when it first came out, and that was something I thought was fun to just do. And with this new podcast that we're doing now on a weekly basis, we can do more stuff like this for sure. So let's get right into the bodies, 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 all of the stuff we saw, everything that I thought this movie did great as well. First and foremost, that score, that music, everything was definitely something that I think was done perfectly. Especially it went with the tone of the movie and all. I thought that was really such a well done score for real. I think that definitely what we saw here. Also, the original score by Disaster Piece, who also did the score for It Follows. It blended so well with what we needed this movie to be. I think the acting in here was great as well. I think the direction, the cinematography, the story, like I say a lot of the times, it's kind of hard to do a good script, especially when it's like movies like Bodies, Bodies, Bodies that take a lot of real world accountants into it, because a lot of the things that they can write for these movies, the jokes and the lines and all of that, can feel outdated. I don't think Bodies, Bodies, Bodies had that problem. Maybe some of the sounds from TikTok they use and all of that definitely could have been a little bit more updated, but it's going to be hard, especially with how fast we go with things, right? With trends and all of that in today's age. It's definitely something that's going to be harder to do because a lot of these trends, a lot of these sounds go quick, and by the time that we get to one maybe and we decide to get on it, it's already too late. That's been something that's happened to me before in the past. So I think that this is definitely a movie that handled all of that well, and I think it's definitely one that continues to do so for sure. So, where do I rank this on my horror list? I'm not too sure exactly yet where I would want this to rank. I feel like there is definitely a lot here that's happening, and like I know a lot of people don't say that this is really a horror movie and all of that. I still consider it one of that because of everything that happens here. So, like I said, there might be spoilers, so beware about that. So, overall, as I said, I think that the direction, everything that this movie went in was great, and I was excited to see it in the end, how it all worked out for sure. So we'll talk more bodies, bodies, bodies in a bit, but let's get ahead and start on talking about some of the other movies that came out as well this past week. Which one of them was Prey? I thought Prey was a very well done film. I think Dan Trachtenberg has really shown himself who he is as a director in these last two movies he made, which are his first like features, which are Cloverfield Lane and also Prey. And I think Prey did such an amazing job at sort of bringing the Predator back after what happened with that 2018 movie, which, a lot of people don't want to talk about what happened with that 2018 movie, but we could definitely say that the hype wasn't there for it. It definitely felt flat, and it could have done a lot better with what it was trying to do. Overall, though, the movie that we got with Prey, I think, does a better job at continuing the story and this legacy for the Predator, which I think is one that should definitely be visited more often. And I would love to see that be done in the future. Hopefully, we do get something from Dan Trachtenberg or whoever it might be who decides to continue this, because it was Hulu's biggest opening ever for a movie or a TV show. So there's definitely still that want to continue on doing this whole thing with the Predator IP. So we'll definitely see what happens with that. We also had They Them be released, and although that one kind of felt flat compared to the other releases we had, I think it was still an important movie for it to come out. Definitely what it's trying to portray and like consider all of that. It definitely does need to do its job well, and I think that They Them continues to push that, and hopefully we see more of these movies that give more representation as well. Overall, though, I think Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is the definite heavyweight when it comes to movies that have been released, and it is definitely one that I feel will be considered a sleeper hit, depending on how the box office goes. My theater, when I went to go see it today, was kind of more packed than I expected it to be for this movie, so that was kind of a positive. Me going into this movie, seeing that there is people receiving this well, because I very much so think it's important that these movies do well in the horror genre, because we don't want just a horror like landscape where it's just IPs we know. Like, it's cool to have Michael Myers, it's cool to have Jason, it's cool to have Chucky, Freddy Krueger. Which, I mean, Freddy. When are we gonna hear something about Freddy? We already heard something about Jason movie coming out, but I think it's cool that we have these IP monsters and all of that. But I also think it's cooler when we have these original ideas still coming out and being sort of dominant as well in the genre, because it pushes the envelope for these movies even more. So I do hope that we get to see more of these be in the future released. Now, another movie that comes to mind now I'm talking bodies, bodies, bodies is definitely Pearl. Pearl, I saw the trailer again for it, and I think this was the first time I saw the trailer on the big screen, and I'm excited for this movie. I think Mia Goth is going to play an amazing character. I loved her in X, and I think that her and Pearl will be great. Ty West has said that this whole thing will be a trilogy, and that we're going to explore more about what exactly is going on in this whole world. So X was basically your beginning, and Pearl goes back to the past, and I think his third film in the series will be Maxine into the future. So I could definitely see this very much so becoming a perfect trilogy in my opinion. And these will be movies I do definitely want to pick up on physical media, so stay tuned for more about that for sure. But yeah, we also have this week coming out Orphan. I'm sorry, y'all. It's been a long day. We do have Orphan First Kill coming out on streaming, so definitely look out for that one. I think that one's going to be great as well. I think that Isabel Furman was so great in Orphan. I can't even say Orphan, y'all. Orphan. I think Isabel Furman was great in Orphan, and it's interesting what they're doing with this character now. sort of revisiting the same character in the past, however, even though 13 years have passed since this actress played this character. So I'm not too sure exactly how that's going to go, right? With a character that's supposed to still be a kid, but it's being played by like a 20 something year old. It's going to be interesting, and that's one of the main reasons I'm excited to watch it this weekend. So I'll definitely be on the lookout for that and see how that one does for sure. August still has a ton of horror as well. We still have Barbarian coming out, which was that Bill Skarsgård movie about like the Airbnb gone wrong. That one looks interesting to me as well. We do have The Invitation as well, which I think comes out next week after Orphan, and then that one's kind of bringing back the vampires. And I've talked about this in the past that vampires are pretty much back because we have Interview with a Vampire, we have Let the Right One In remake TV show coming out, and we just had Day Shift on Netflix. Day Shift, I think, is an important part of horror as well because it's sort of bringing that funny horror vibes back, and I think that's great to have. Like 2022 has really been such a great year for movies, especially when it comes like because the year started off strong with a ton of these movies that came out, and I think we're still heading in strong, and we haven't even gotten into award season yet. So there's a ton of stuff still to come, and everything's been hitting pretty good, honestly. So I'm excited to see where we go now in this later half of the year, the second half, how it's going to be, especially because the summer blockbuster was so great. And I think Top Gun was really one of those movies that really kicked it into high gear for sure, and definitely brought the audiences back to the big screen. So I'm excited to see where we go. But like in terms of horror, which is what we're talking about here, I think the horror genre has been getting a ton of bangers for sure. Like I said, Bodies, 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 definitely one of those movies that really ended the summer movie time with such a big hit for sure. Now we move on to more of the fall, and we're still there. We're still getting some pretty good stuff. We still have, of course, your boy Michael coming out, and we still have movies such as Pearl, and then we also have other movies that are definitely pushing that envelope that we haven't gotten a release, but I'm pretty sure we will soon, like Evil Dead Brides, as well as the Hellraiser movie, which are exciting movies for sure to be coming out, and that definitely have my interest peaked about what exactly is going to be happening with horror in the upcoming future. So, like I said, we're going to be talking a lot about these movies once we get closer and closer to them. And Black Phone was another horror movie I just forgot to talk about that I think did such a good job for horror for sure as well in giving us something interesting about seeing what exactly we can have be done with horror. Black Phone I think was really well done. It is now on Peacock if you want to stream it as well. And I think the physical Blu-ray, DVD, all of that comes out on the 16th, which is something I do want to pick up because we do have some of those behind the scenes and all of that. I saw one in particular, but I think that there's a short attached to it as well. So that's one of the reasons I do want to pick up the physical media because I want to see what this short is. And I think Scott Derrickson did such a good job with Robert C. Cargill in bringing this story to life. There is talks about a sequel, which I'm interested in hearing what the sequel could actually be. The original writer of the short story apparently came up with the sequel, so that definitely gets me more excited that that person was able to see something that they could bring back into the big screen with this one. So we're definitely excited to see what they are trying to bring with it, right? So overall, like I said, we are definitely excited for what's coming into the horror genre in these next couple of months that are left in the year and how much exactly that could be. So, like I said, Bodies, 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 I think definitely is a film that was perfect for the time that's coming out. I think the way it's sort of a reflection on the generation right now, not just Gen Z, but everybody in particular, especially with how things can quickly escalate depending on what we know and what we don't know, and this sort of mob mentality as well is definitely interesting to take note about. So yeah, like I said, there's a ton of stuff still to come, but I definitely enjoyed this one a lot. I think that it did the job it needed to do. I talked about it already on my spoiler review and also my ending explained. I think that the cleverness of it, the ending, how it catches you off guard as well was well done. And I think the acting by everybody was good. There was nobody that felt odd or out of place, especially even with Lee Pace and Pete Davidson and the other actresses in here, they definitely never felt like somebody didn't belong here. It just felt natural for some reason. And I think that just has to do with the chemistry that the actors have together on set, where everything just flows good. And I think the runtime was also very well done, where it doesn't feel like you're just sitting there for too long, especially how quickly this movie moves. It doesn't ever have you bored. I definitely got that, like, they got it down with that. So definitely excited to see where they go from here with this. So next up in the horror genre, we do have, as I said, Orphan First Kill, which I talked about a little bit earlier. This one's bringing us all the way back to the beginning. Like, we're gonna see Esther before the first orphan. And even though we know that story, I'm still hoping they're bringing something fresh with it, right? Because we know this story already from the movie that came out in 2009. They told this story. So, what more can they really do, right? Like, that's my only excitement for this movie is what are they going to do? How are they going to captivate us into the story if we already know most of it? That is the big question right there, right? So, we're definitely excited for that. So, yeah, like I said, a lot of stuff. Um, like Halloween Ends is another one for sure that is going to be interesting to see because I think that movie will dictate what happens with the next horror IPs that decide to come onto the big screen, such as The Exorcist, which the people behind the Halloween movie are going to be working on next. And that one has me a little bit worried because I see Halloween the way they did it. And although I'm not a fan of some of the things that they did in the Halloween 2018 and the 2021, I still liked it, right? But if they're trying to invoke certain elements from that into the Exorcist movie, which is a remake of the original Exorcist, I don't know how that sort of will flow with that type of movie because they're two very different like movies. Even though they're both in the horror genre, they definitely feel different. And I think I like what they did with the Michael in the last Halloween, especially the beginning of that one. That looked good. If they can do something like that with the Exorcist film, I think I would be excited about it. But I don't know if it's going to be set in the past. I think it's set more alongside the future right now because we do have the mother in The Exorcist coming back to play, I think, her own character she played in the original. So we know it's years later on, and that has me a little worried about how exactly they're going to treat this whole movie for sure. So overall, it sounds great and exciting to have this Exorcist movie coming out next year in 2023. But I'm not sure how it's gonna feel, right? If it's the same people behind Halloween, and I feel like they have two different vibes, right? These movies. So I'm excited, but I'm a little bit worried about it because I hope it's good, right? Like I think The Exorcist has a lot of potential, and The Exorcist show was a show that I think did it right. So if they can kind of follow alongside what that show did for The Exorcist IP, I think that we could have a very good trilogy because yes, this new Exorcist will be a trilogy, so we'll see how it does, right? Whenever it is released as well. So, like I said earlier, too, A24 has Pearl, which is a prequel to X, and Ty West has already said that this is going to be a trilogy. So, if you're excited about seeing more Pearl, more Maxine, then you're in luck because Ty West wants more about them be done, and that's definitely something he's talked about for sure. I think Mia Goth is going to definitely go further into stardom with this role of Pearl. I think in X, Maxine was a great character, but I think she was overshadowed for sure by Lorraine, who was played by Jenna Ortega, just because of the draw, the star power that is behind her name. And especially coming fresh out of Scream into that movie, which I think that um, Scream came out in February, and then we had X come out in March. So it's like back to back Jenna Ortega. So there's definitely a lot of push for her name right there. And so I think that seeing now that Mia Goth is going to have a chance all by herself on the field to play this Pearl character, I think she is definitely going to be one that will definitely have more room to really have herself shine more. So I'm excited for Pearl. It is being called like a demented Disney movie, and that's what gets me excited about it for sure. This whole thing that it is just balls crazy, right? I'm excited about that. So just seeing the trailer again got me excited. So hopefully we'll see how this movie does do. And yeah, like I was saying, Bodies, is a movie that I think ends the summer well and still gives us that strong push of the horror genre. I think A24 has been on a roll this year with everything they've released, especially with X and Everything Everywhere All at Once, and now it's their last two movies that they have, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's definitely a good year. They still also have original TV series as well that I think they're working on, and it just sounds great, like, to be a fan of A24 right now. I think that they are definitely a great distributor that's doing it all right, and I'm excited to see what comes next from them. So, like I was saying earlier with IPs, like, I'm excited about seeing like Jason and other characters return, but I don't know. I definitely don't know if it's all going to be good if it's just all IPs returning, right? And that's all we get from the horror genre. Like I said, I do want to see a Freddy Krueger movie done right. I am excited about The Exorcist, but I do want more original horrors as well still coming out. I don't want that to like be overshadowed by all of this, especially that we have a new Scream movie, we have the Chucky TV series, which, by the way, if you haven't gotten on the Chucky TV series, highly recommended. I will be covering every episode whenever that definitely drops, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, this was definitely just a quick little podcast, a live experiment. I know Saturdays might not be the best time to do lives, so I'm definitely going to be doing them more on the weekdays. Today we just wanted to try it out and see how it went. So yeah, I definitely am excited to do some more of these as well on weekdays. I'll definitely be asking the community what's the best days for sure for everybody. But yeah, we just talked bodies. We talked about it, how we felt about it, some of the upcoming horrors, the state of horror as well. So this will be all covered more in the podcast that we will do every week. We'll have two episodes. The next episode will be talking about 70s horrors movies as well, and how that definitely defined where we are right now in horror movies. So stay tuned for that episode. That will definitely be probably on Tuesday. So we'll be talking about that as well. And we have some reviews dropping as well about some of the movies we actually caught that we haven't done reviews on. So we're trying to catch up on those. So stay tuned for those as well. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, your opinions, wherever you're listening, whether you're on YouTube watching me right now, or you're listening on Spotify or Buzzsprout. Definitely follow us on YouTube. That's our main account where we talk all the stuff, movies and all of that. And that's where everything drops for sure. Like, that's definitely where, if you want to see everything we do, it's definitely over there on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, go ahead and give us a follow right now. Subscribe, all that good stuff. We are on the road to 25,000 subscribers, so really appreciate anybody who's coming on to watch all of that. So, anyways, as always, that is going to do it for me. Make sure that you are checking us out everywhere. YouTube, culturelixir.com is our website. We also have a Twitter. We have a TikTok. Culture Elixir is the @ for those. And then the Culture Elixir is the @ for our Instagram. As always, that's going to do it for me. Stay safe.